In folk art lies the culture of Odisha. Folk art is a vast thing. It comprises of art, song, and dance. But unfortunately, folk art is gasping for air right now. It is almost on the verge of extinction. Right now, we have an expert with us, eminent historian Dr. Prashant Kumar Pradhan. Dr. Pradhan will enlighten our audience about various aspects of folk culture and why the revival of folk culture is pretty much important. Dr. Pradhan,
Hi.
welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Welcome to OTV Digital English.
Thank you very much.
I reckon some 25 years ago, you conducted a program in a college. And the program was about a typical amalgamation of folk song and dance, and that is in the form of Ghoda Nacha. And the audience was plus 2 and plus 3 college students. They enjoyed it, but you were severely criticized for that. And the criticism was about you are ruining the career of the students, you're wasting the time of the students. Dr. Pradhan, what is actually your mission behind presenting such a kind of program to the college students? And how did you respond? How did you feel about that criticism?
Thank you very much, Rajendra. This is a very good question, and we must be aware of the fact that a human being is a creative soul. When there was nothing in the world, only human beings were present, they have created their own ways. So many things. They created rock arts, they created their aesthetic sense, they created different type of folk talks, folk tales, dances, music, songs, etc. Because uh, the people who were working throughout the day, they wanted relaxation, they wanted amusement by which they can recover themselves emotionally and physically, and they can go to the field in the next day. These are the natural productions, organic productions of human beings. We know we have different kinds of art forms, classical art form and folk art form. When you talk about folk art form, when I was born in my village Odaspur, I came across different kinds of folk songs and dances, particularly Ghoda Nacha. Near my house, we had some fishermen communities, and they did observe their Chaiti Parva in the month of Chaitra, and in the deep of the night, they invited the artists, the troops of Ghoda Nacha, and they were performing this art form in the village streets, on the village streets, and when the local people were gathered. So I was accustomed with this Ghoda Nacha. In my village, there is a marketplace, and throughout the 3 days of our Raja Parva, for continuously 20-25 years, the local fishermen communities, not my village, perhaps I believe about 20 to 30 villages, they did contribute and invited very eminent Ghoda Nacha artists, and they performed their work throughout the day till the deep of the night, late in the night. And I was a regular visitor. In Ghoda Nacha or in other form of folk arts, you can find so many things. You can find the tradition. You can find how the common people could create such wonderful things. They have typical type of music. They have these performances are associated with typical musical instruments, and the dances were typical, the recitations, the songs were typical, and all these were meant for the amusement of the common people. Large number of people, particularly the people who were working in fields, agricultural laborers, they were coming in thousands to observe these type of Ghoda performances, and that was the point which imprinted in my mind. Then when I was in my college, and I was in charge of hostel, I felt that I must support the folk artists, the folk dances by which they could thrive. That was perhaps in the 90s when I invited the Ghoda Nach group, and the Ghoda Nach group was. It is actually believed that by the time the college functions, hostel functions, the students should come across the classical forms only, and the students must invite the singers or dancers of a mainstream society. But I felt at that time that the students should know our own culture. The student must know that in Odisha also, in our locality also, there were different types of folk dances which were very rich. They were varied. They were also very deep. In these performances, you can come across devotion. You can come across the people's obligation to the nature gods. Side by side, we can get the amusement. The people express their agony, the people express their sufferings in life in the songs. Side by side, we can see also they do create fun. Fun loving people in the village, they do compose songs which are very funny. They do also perform the funny acts which also make people laugh. So all these things were present. That means the Ghoda Nacha or any other form of folk culture, they are full of amusement, and also they are full of devotion, and also they are full of creativities. That's the most important. I wanted that students must come across, because at that time folk means people were very much annoyed about this word. Folk art are meant for the poor, lower class people. We, the mainstream people, students, which should not go to these type of performances. But I organized the performance, and I saw the students enjoyed it. And
Okay, sir, I got your point. Sorry to interact, but my point is I'm coming connecting. I got your point. Then why the criticism, and how did you react to that criticism?
actually, by that time, I have never seen that the any college anywhere in Odisha they have invited the folk people, the people who perform folk dances and songs or performances. I dared because I wanted that these are not vulgar. There are many ideas in these which students must know, by which they could respect their own culture and tradition. We cannot select, we cannot be selective, that this is good, this is bad. Yes, we have classical form of our system, that is Odisha dance, Odisha song. We have also semi-classical performance like Pala, Daskatia, or Sankirtana, or bhajanas, all these things. But side by side, we have to see also how poor common people, since time immemorial, had created their sense of beauties and have represented in a folk form. And that must be intimated to my students. I believe that my students must know that they represent a very rich folk tradition.
Sir, my question is, folk dance are very ancient form of arts. Right now, so many developed musical systems have evolved and people have become accustomed to it. You are vociferously championing for the revival of folk art. Why do you think that it should sustain? What is its relevance in modern times?
Yes. Actually, amusement or entertainment is not always modern. Yes, in modern times, we come across the performances which are only the modernization of ancient and medieval art forms. You take any form, these are all, they have basis in ancient and medieval traditions. For example, suppose if you go to Swanga in Odia form, in 18th century, 19th centuries, we have performances, dance, dialogue, and song, and music, full entertainment. And just see nowadays what Jatra is at the present age. It has modernized itself because it wanted to survive. The people who were engaged in Jatra, they wanted that they must be up to date. They must match to the taste of a modern generation. Unfortunately, the folk, most of the folk performances in Odisha, Dhudiki Nacho or Ghoda Nacho, or you come across many things. Particularly in our area, that is the coastal Cuttack and Puri area, the folk arts were mostly neglected in 19th century. After the demise of kings or kingdoms, they were patronizing. The art form was declining rapidly. And I know there are many popular artists, but I cannot remember their name. I have seen them. They could attract hundreds, thousands of people at that time where there is no microphone, there is no sound system or light system. Still, when they were performing, at least 2 to 3,000 people, spectators, they were listening with complete attention, and all were enjoying the things. So for me, I think these art forms not only represent the creativity tease of our people, they also contain our history, the development of our humankind. What were our history, what were the social condition, what were the cultural condition, what are the economic condition of our people. These data are also available in these art forms. If we will not preserve the art forms, we will get a great disaster, because in other countries, in other areas, go to Bengal, go to any other adjoining provinces, even in Chhattisgarh, even you go to Andhra Pradesh, they are very keen to observe their folk arts, particularly because the folk arts are varied, they are different, they represent each and every corner of the province. Yes, actually, what happened? Um, you see, our folk arts, most of them were created and supported by the oppressed caste. And the poor people, the agricultural farmers, workers, the Dhudiki Nacho or Ghuda Nacho or some other dance performances, they were created by the people who belong to particular castes. They were unable, because as they were poor, they could not survive. Even some of the art forms were in the very vanishing condition, like Dhudiki, Kendra.
Completely vanished.
No, no, it is not a rampant. What it was very popular in every village. You can come across such type of performance in every year, particularly in particular season. Nowadays, they are not available. And for example, Kendra, particularly Jogi caste, they were performing this art form. They are their family traditions. And that was not a matter of a shame, because they were going through villages, reciting the particular song, and they do attract the village folk and women who contribute as a matter of religious religious sense. But these castes, they have already left the tradition. They are not doing all these things. It is very difficult to find a man who is having a kendra and using it, because these castes, they are no longer easy with kendra. They believe that if they go to kendra, people tell them they are beggars, but they are not beggars. These are the parcel of our traditional spiritual form in the society, in Odia society. They were traveling as a part of religious performances. But nowadays, these are already in a vanishing condition. And you see, in Bengal, we have Baul. Baul is now a very popular and modernized art form, though it has roots in ancient and medieval period. It was Rabindranath Tagore, Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore, and his institution Vishwabharati both came forward and supported this Baul form of art. And now you see, Baul form has already reached a particular height. It is now an internationally popular folk culture. Why? They experimented with it. They supported the artists, and with that particular gopi yantra, that one instrument they were using while they were performing. But they added some other things. They added flute. They added other instruments, even Western instruments. I have seen in Vishwabharati when I was once visiting. I saw when they were performing Baul. They had expertise. They have a troupe with Baul expertise, and they were associated with the, both Indian and Western instruments. Actually, what happened? Forget about what happened during the British rule. After independence, the state must come forward to support them. But the Odias by that time were so poor and backward, and the state government was always busy with the poverty and other poverty elimination programs. And I believe that they tried their best, but resource was the most important thing. Nowadays, if you don't have money, you cannot support the artists. Most of the artists are very poor, and their number is reducing alarmingly. And if you want next generation to support them, you must train the artists. The second generation artists are not available, and young people, actually, they don't respect this type of performances. They believe that it is below their standard, and the popularity of these modern art forms, and these art forms are attracting the new generation. Two things are required. One is state must come forward, or the private entrepreneurs, private and people who are rich, they must support the art form. They must adopt particular art forms, and they must get a modern interpretation. The old literature, the old music must be retained, but they must be modified to suit to the new taste, the taste of a new generation. And there must be some regional training institutions, and the old this is the most unfortunate thing that we are coming across today. Actually, the vulgarity or this type of um, uh, sex oriented songs, double meaning songs, and performances. And even we can see that in religious functions, the dancers were coming or performing, which is not actually good. And one thing is it is a state or a law and order that must be very strong, that it ruins the religious sentiments of the elder people. You see, the young generation, we cannot blame them always. Because the young generation is in a very psychological trouble. They want to release their problems or traumas in performing all these things. They can't they can't examine what is wrong and what is right for them. The thing is that these type of things are to be curtailed. These things are to be checked by imposing rules and regulations. But side by side, these young people, the young generation, they are to be guided properly. I told, na, they should not be blamed always. What is good for them, they are doing all these things. They are not properly guided by the elderly people. The elderly people should come forward and they must guide them. Now, what is happening nowadays? The elderly people are not coming out from their home. They are trying to be inside their home and not to indulge in social activities, where these social activities, these platforms are being monopolized by young people. The young people be there because without young people you cannot perform, you cannot organize the things, because uh, they are to they are to be taken. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. These performances, these organizations, these festivals, all these things which are being performed nowadays in villages, they are to be organized by both the elders as well as the youngers. And these elders should take leadership, and they must inculcate the traditions and customs, the aesthetic ideas of our own Indian system to the younger generation. Because younger generation in many ways are not in a condition to understand what is Indianity, what is Odia concept or Asmita. Odia identity is not that we must always adopt the Western system. Yes, Western system is good, but what is good for us, we must adopt. We must infiltrate. We must filtrate these things. We must adopt certain things which is beneficial to us. What is good for us, we must adopt it. But unfortunately, particularly in cultural atmosphere, we come across the people who mostly want to get profit, monetary profit. The different cultural companies or musical companies or other organizations, knowingly they are trying to make the young generation wayward by introducing such vulgar performances. Because vulgar
Sir,
performances.
sir, just adding to your point, the society seems to be in a chaotic situation right now. Young people are indisciplined, they're going wayward, they don't have any kind of direction. What do you think? Is because they're not culturally rooted? It's because we have forgot our ancient art forms? What is your observation as a historian and research fellow?
It's a fact that the students community, particularly with whom we are coming, interacting every day, most of them are frustrated, I think. They are not in a proper way. Why? they are being attracted by some invaded, what you call the invaded by their lives were invaded by unwanted elements, particularly the intoxicants they are using, and the other things, particularly they are very much and they're spending a lot of their time, hours there at the time with mobiles,
Social media.
social media, mobiles, and the most root cause of this problem is that they don't know what to do. When they are in colleges also, they don't know what to do. I mean, they don't have that confidence that how they will lead their life in future. So that is the problem. If they are guided properly, we have also employment within our villages. They must remember the fact that they all cannot get government jobs. They all cannot even get private jobs. They have to create their own expertise and utilize it from lands. Agriculture is utterly neglected by the young people because they don't want to labor hard. We have no work culture, labor culture. That's most unfortunate thing. And folk culture or folk performances, it is by the labor class. It is by the labor class, for the labor class, of the labor class. Because if you go through the folk performances, you see there are farces. Farces means that's the humorous part of the performance where they introduce the dialogues in literary form, that they talk in between the artists about their financial condition, about their sufferings, but side by side they do respect work, they do respect what they are doing, and they do respect their own families, their even own caste culture, caste identities, or caste crafts, particularly. Suppose in Ghoda Nacha, why I am talking Ghoda repeatedly? Because in our localities, in every village, perhaps you can find fishermen people. And Ghoda Nacha is very popular not only in that caste but also across the villages. And in that performance, you can see that they openly tell that we do catch fishes, we do ferry the people by boat across the river. We do also prepare chuda or pressed rice. But we, side by side, we respect our system. We respect our own profession. Yes, our women folk go in villages to households to sell the chuda or on other products. We sell fish, we ferry the people, but that is our pride. So nowadays, every profession, it has its root, and it has in contribution towards development of society. It is an art form. Even a carpenter, even a blacksmith, even a pottery. Pottery system is a very rich system from time immemorial till today. Pottery has been the main art form of human civilization. You go for any excavation, go Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, or you go to Nile civilization, or Mesopotamia civilization, you will find the earthen pots and the potteries, different kinds of potteries, and from that potteries you can come across the history, the concrete data about the development of society of those periods. So those people, the young generation of this time, they can perform, they can get expertise from their own parents, family members, and can also pursue the family professions, and this can be modernized. Even a barber, in 100 years so ago, the barbers were performing within the villages. But nowadays they are everywhere in metropolis life. They,
Okay, sir. You
yes, they were the mediums of society. When they were performing what they are doing, they were expressing their identities in the society, and they are expressing that they were present in the society and a part and parcel to the
Sir,
mainstream.
my point is that are they still relevant as mediums, and how we can exploit that medium? Is that relevant still today in the modern era? Modern tools of communication has come. So are they still have any kind of utility?
Yes, yes, almost all. First important thing is that you have to revive, you have to modernize, you must have experimentations. Yes, in experimentation you may fail, but side by side you have to revive these platforms which are in a dying stage, because very few people, yes, these art forms can also provide employment. Once upon time, only boys or male were performing most of these art forms. Even female characters were actually the male. But nowadays, both male and women they can perform. You see, we have in India, in Odisha particularly, some 100 jatra groups, jatra troops, and they do give employment to thousands of artists, and the jatra artists are getting good amount of money as salaries. So if we can produce the artist of international standard, we will take time. They have to be trained properly. They are to be accustomed with modern instruments of music, and they are to be supported by government or private enterprises for financial assistance. Then why not? If in other states, artists of folk culture, folk performances, they are going abroad and they are acquiring international fame, and they are also not only fame for themselves, also fame for the country. So why not? Odia art forms, they can be patronized properly with giving financial assistance, and also they be remodeled. Only the traditional art form is not sufficient, because we have to change the language, we have to change the literature, and we have also to change the performances capacities of the performers, because you see, by that time, in bygone days, those singers, they were selected because they were interested to join the troops. But nowadays you have to select those singers who have good tonal capacity, tonal capacity to perform. And you have, from the beginning, you must see that these groups which we are supporting or patronizing, they must be international in standard.
Okay, sir. We are talking about government, private, and corporate supports. Government is giving little bit, but these are peanuts. And what about the corporate and private support that you are talking about? Would you please enlighten?
Yes, private or corporate sectors.
Sir,
You,
first government.
government is supporting. That is branches of Sangit Natak Academy. We also come across the people who are making research, and they are also supporting the artists. They are taking them to foreign countries. It's true, but these are not sufficient. My point is that these are not sufficient, and most important thing is that you are not creating the second generation. Yes, somebody became famous, you do support him or support them. But there are also other people. They are also trying to make all these things alive, and they are spending from their own pockets, and they cannot survive for a long period. and you must go to them. They cannot come because they don't know the proper channel to be recognized. And most important thing, in every district, there must be some branches and experts, the old or aged performers be invited. They must be given proper financial support, and they will select the new artists, and they have to practice for a longer period. All these things are required. Then I see once they came up, once they join the mainstream and they are being highlighted, I think they will create a new era will be created so far as the art form folk performance are concerned.
So, sir, in a nutshell, what about you're talking about, private and corporate sectors supports? Okay, in a nutshell, please enlighten.
When they are supporting cricket, they are supporting kabaddi, they are supporting hockey, they are supporting other forms of sports, and why not? Why not this support? They not support our folk culture, and I believe that folk culture can create a market. Those people, or the you say the private entrepreneurs, if they support the folk culture, they can also create their own ways of earning money. And I believe that this folk culture will be very popular because they were popular. Their popularity cannot be questioned. The most important thing is that what you told, that the taste of our modern generation by younger generation is very changing rapidly towards Western type of cultural performances. Yes, you cannot deny them that they must not be attracted towards other cultural aspects because nowadays everything is open and accessible. We come across the international artists, their performances. We do invite them to India also. But side by side, we have to patronize our own artists. We can make them presentable. We can make them very famous. We can take them to foreign countries. Just remember Tejan Bai of Pandavani fame. At that time, Madhya Pradesh was a single. Chhattisgarh was not created. In that area, Pandavani was an art form which women recite Pandavani or Mahabharata, and she became very popular. And by 90s and early part of this millennium, she visited different parts of the world and brought laurels to the country, and people became astonished that a woman could perform so boldly and so openly. And when the women in India, they were known as the oppressed gender, and all these things could happen.
Okay, sir. Another important aspect, government alone cannot do anything. And private sectors and corporate sectors, they won't come forward unless and until we have efficient social leadership. So, sir, please enlighten how pragmatic and how practical we can be in social leadership. What is your advice?
Social leadership were there. They are known as organic leaders. You see, in a village, even if all are illiterate, they have their own organic leaders. One particular man or a group of people, they do give leadership to the society, and the people, they do obey them. So social leadership is always there, but important thing is how they were oriented. What is their visions? Vision must be very egalitarian. Vision must not be class based or caste based. If you are a true leader, known as Jananayaka, these true leaders must see that every part of the society be elevated, to be progressed. What we call that Sarvodaya. All development for all. not for some. And if that will be the motto, then I believe the social leaders they can be a great help for the revive and modernization and modernization of these art forms which were in a very serious condition of dying.
Sir, last but not the least, give some practical solutions how really we can revive these extinct art forms, folk art forms, in fact.
Now, actually, you see, in modern days, uh, the most practical way to revive the art form is that some local educated people, mostly retired people, who can be organized and they must come forward to support the local artists. Suppose in my village, I have Ghoda Nacha group, Sankirtan group, your Bhajan group. Bhajans are two kind. One is of Jagannath Bhajana, which is mainstream Bhajana, and another is of Bhimo Bhui or Mohima Bhajana. Mohima Bhajan, you see, they are mostly supported by the people who follow Mohima cult. And they don't need any type of support because they have their own system. Because they do recite the bhajanas and they are accompanied by your khanjani or all other musical instruments. And they are very popular. You see, in films, in your other cultural performances, Bhimo Bhois or Mohima Bhajanas are recited by mainstream artists. But there are some other forms which are not supported by any particular religious group. Local educated and local people, the social leadership, they must come forward. And social leadership can play a very important role for the revival and for the sustenance and growth. Particularly growth, I am talking about growth. Because for growth, you have to give the training, you have to buy modern instruments, you must have rehearsals, and you must look up, watch them seriously, because these performers are very poor. And in this way, you can create a very valuable, marketable, international artists from any part of Odisha. And I believe when you are collecting data from me or trying to get my opinion, you must come across or enlist some enlightened people of the locality, particularly at least 100 or 200 people who are ready. They are ready actually. They can also contribute financially, not in a large amount, but in some amount, and they don't get the way. They are to be connected. Once they are connected, they will make a great contribution for the revival and for the growth of our own local folk performances. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful introspection. I think it will go a long way in creating awareness in the society for reviving our ancient and forgotten but very, very invaluable folk, art, and song forms.